Queensland, where the daylight saving debate is heating up again. Independent MP Peter Wellington introduced a private member's bill to Parliament proposing a referendum on daylight saving at the next state election. Under the proposal, the state would be split into 2 time zones, allowing southeast Queensland to maximise business opportunities by being in the same time zone as the rest of the east coast.
Now, a similar referendum was held last year in Western Australia after a daylight savings trial took place in 2008, but the idea was rejected by the community. Currently 3 regions, Queensland, Western Australia and the Northern Territory, do not follow daylight savings.
And for more on this very hot topic, we're joined by Independent MP Peter Wellington, who called for the referendum. Also in Brisbane is Jason Furse, leader of the Daylight Saving Party for South East Queensland. And in Townsville is Independent MP Bob Catter, who is against the time change. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, Rebecca.
Now, Peter, we'll start with you. What exactly do you want the Queensland Government to do in terms of a daylight saving referendum?
I'm asking the Queensland Government to have a referendum at the next state election, which is 2 years away. Let Queenslanders decide if they want to go down the road of daylight saving or not. Between now and then, we need to have the government support my call for an all-party committee to investigate the proposed split time zone. And I would hope that the government will invite members of the opposition and independents to be on that committee to consult with Queenslanders and to come back to Parliament with a recommendation on where that boundary should be.
Peter, there are some suggestions that dual time zones would sort of be as good as moving up the Queensland-New South Wales border. There's plenty of criticism. What do you think of that one?
Oh, Larry, look, that's just ridiculous. Queensland has its own identity. My private member's bill is simply responding to the issue that has been around for many years. The last referendum we had in Queensland was 18 years ago. 18 years ago, the state government asked Queenslanders what their views on this matter was. What I'm saying is it's high time the government today put this to Queenslanders at the next state election in 2 years' time.
Jason, we'll bring you in here. We understand it was the Daylight Savings Party that approached several MPs to highlight the issue on your behalf. Is that right?
That is correct, including Peter Wellington. We approached Peter in February this year and straight away he said exactly that, hey, it's been 18 years ago, it's time we had another referendum and another view, and also embraced the dual time zone, given that, you know, in the last referendum, those people in South East Queensland voted in favour. 60% of South East Queenslanders voted in favour, the majority sport being on the Gold Coast. And those in North and West Queensland were not in favour of it. So what we came to the table with is a compromise that respects the views of all Queenslanders. It's been 18 years. A lot of people weren't even born at the time of the last referendum, let alone experienced a trial in this state. So I think this is a fantastic move forward on the issue.
All right, Bob, interested in your thoughts on this, as always. Why do you oppose the idea of daylight savings in Queensland? You've been doing that for a long, long time. And have you ever seen any merit in this argument at all?
The argument they're putting up is that this is unfair to southern Queensland because we can't work with New South Wales. Well, why don't you damn well become part of New South Wales and leave us alone? We've got all the wealth up here, which your blood-sucking office continuously, and let me just mention 3 things. In the newspapers it said there was $5,000 million for the approaches to the airport. Well, Peter Wellington, it takes you about 50 minutes, because I actually timed it, to get to the airport from your sort of area. It takes me the same distance in far north Queensland from my office to the Cairns airport, 2 hours. And you're getting another $5,000 million to be spent on it. You got $6,000 million for a tunnel. You got $4,000 million for the area, what is called the South Bank in Brisbane. We've got none of those things. So why don't you join New South Wales and leave us to hell alone, please? Now, if you want to proceed down this pathway, do so at your own peril, because we want a referendum up here to break away from South Queensland, and this is just the sort of trigger that we're after. And the unfairness and the viciousness of the tyranny of the majority, yeah, you got the majority and you're going to use it, as you have been with everything else, blood-sucking all of our coal wealth, all of our mineral wealth, all of our sugar wealth off North Queensland, and you won't even stop there because you're closing down all of our northern industries as well.
Okay.
Now, this is Brisbane government for Brisbane interests. If you want to be part of New South Wales, well, ta-da.
Bob, I might just interrupt here and let Peter respond to that.
Bob, you know full well I'm an independent member of the Parliament. I have always been. This is a matter that is of interest in Queensland, and all I'm asking is let's let Queenslanders have a say. Often politicians are criticised because they do not listen to people. I am simply proposing that we ask Queenslanders to have a say on this issue. And the result may be they don't support daylight saving, or they may also say, let's support daylight saving. I don't think it's appropriate for you and me to have an argument now, but we can certainly talk later on.
Gentlemen, we've got you.
Hell it doesn't.
Hang on.
This is a case of oppression of the minority. That's what this is.
Well, we've got your views. We're clear on where you both stand on this. Jason, let's bring you back into this, because this actually did go out to the people in some form yesterday, on the Twitter sphere at least. What level of support does this proposal have out there in the sort of places that we've been discussing?
There's actually been quite a lot of talk from not only southeast Queenslanders but also from those in the regions. And interesting to note, a lot of them have been saying, you know, daylight saving is going to happen in this state. Which way do we want to go? And they're saying it makes sense southeast Queensland adopt daylight saving and not us. We don't want it. So I guess, look, does Mr Katter want another referendum on statewide daylight saving? Because if he does, statewide daylight saving is going to happen. Isn't this a fair compromise to all Queenslanders, not just one region?
No. You've got 70% of the vote. You'll win every time. And that's why we're being blood-sucked to death.
You actually had more of the vote last time. That's why the referendum was lost.
Because we were more committed, you know, and I can't guarantee that we can keep winning with only 30% of the vote. But let me just say this, that the kids, you've got to get up earlier in the morning. Kids got to go to bed earlier at night.
Not in southeast Queensland, they don't.
You try. No, just nothing to do with southeast Queensland.
All right, gentlemen, we might leave it there.
Queensland. You're trying to get people to go to sleep when the sun's still up, and the cancer is the biggest issue in Queensland.
All right.
Cancer.
Thanks very much,
You'll be
Bob.
adding to it.
Thanks for your time, gentlemen. I introduced it as a hot topic. It's certainly proved just that. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be speaking to you shortly.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks,
Larry.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was much more exciting than, because usually about 9:10 we do something about Brad and Ange.